We're up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ah, okay. I missed it. I missed it for a second then. Hello and welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 193, recorded on August 23rd, 2018. On tonight's episode, we discussed Nintendo UK had a highlight reel, NES voice chat, Diablo, and so much more. So, Mr. Jesse, play that music once again.
What's up, everybody? This is Nintendo Dads, and we are bringing you yet another episode of Nintendo and Dad-filled goodness. My name is Marty Estes, and with me this week are two of the greatest player twos that have ever existed. First up, from the land of VG Tribune, Mr. Jesse Waldack. How's it going, Jesse?
Can you have more than one player two simultaneously?
Sure. Well, yeah. Fine. I don't know. We are tonight. Make it so. We're doing it live.
We'll figure something out.
Were you player two?
No, I was the player one. I was the oldest brother in the house.
So you got to be Mario.
Yeah. Though my brother was like 3.5 years younger, so we had different circles of friends, and we very rarely played games together. We always did our own thing. So I've been primarily single player games most of my life.
Awesome. Also with us this week is Mr. Gary Gray. Gary, did you have to be player two?
No, top left of the screen, baby. That was me.
Right on.
Well, we had some English direct today, so, it's, I say that today, this week. So, hearing an English voice on this podcast as well, I'll have to say some more English phrases to go along with that direct, like "pio pio pio" maybe, or
that's now officially a British phrase, right? It's officially.
Yeah, we use it all the time to start sentences, especially if it's about guns or aircraft afterwards.
Do I need to save that as a soundbite now?
Oh, please
pew
do.
pew pew.
Please. We can use that in so many ways. Speaking of things we can use in so many ways, let's talk about the games we've been playing this week, shall we, gentlemen?
Do it.
Awesome. Hopefully, you guys have not been like Gary this week, if you're listening. Gary, how many games you played this week, man?
I'd say a quarter of one. That's probably about it.
A quarter. Okay.
Yeah. I've loaded up a couple of menus. I've been extremely busy with stuff this week. So the only game time I actually got in was the Let's Play Freedom Planet that we got on the site. And I recorded that Let's Play about 5 times. Technical difficulties are brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Plus teeny little box house and screaming kids also doesn't mix very well to Let's Plays.
Right. Which is why you just gotta you need to go build you like a dad shelter or a dad shed or.
Yeah, I've actually been considering the shed thing.
Here in the South, those used to be called pouting sheds. I don't know why. It was like I guess there was the reputation that men would go pout in their pouting sheds, but
do we just call them man caves now?
Man cave, yeah, it's just man cave.
Anyway, so going back to I'm used to playing single player games when I'm lousy at commentating on myself. So when I do a Let's Play, I very rarely even try to set up a microphone to talk. So I just mute the mic, I play and let the sound audio do what it's going to do, and if something crashes upstairs, you'll never hear it.
That's one of the things that really doesn't come across when you make videos like that is that you watch those Let's Play videos and it looks so easy, right?
Yep.
It looks like anybody can do that. They can talk over video games. Then you try it sometimes. The first time I did, I was like, oh, I don't know what to do here. I still don't know what to do here.
Yeah. I'll sometimes voice over the first 5 minutes doing a small talk about it, but normally I don't even do that.
Yeah. Well, Jesse, you do have an opportunity to talk about some games tonight. You've been playing a couple. Why don't you fill us in on Shio?
Okay, yeah. Speaking of Let's Plays, I do have a video out on the channel that went out this morning. Was it was ready earlier in the week, but it was embargoed, so we had to schedule it for this morning. So Shio, I don't know what it is. I played it for half an hour, and I'm still confused at what this thing is. There's a story in there somewhere. I just haven't found it yet. The only thing I know is you start the game with a journal that is 100% redacted. As you play, some of the text starts to reveal itself. Now, of course, not in order. So you've got to, if you want to read it, you have to constantly go back to it and reread it again to see what's new. I think I got like halfway through the first section of the game, and I still have no idea what was going on. Okay, the gameplay, it seems like it's Super Meat Boy from a closer vantage point, so you don't see the entire stage in one shot. So it looks more like your traditional type of platformer where the screen will scroll around. But there's no enemies, no combat. All it is you jumping from platform to platform, trying to avoid the obstacles that'll insta-kill you. And that's really it. That's all I've seen so far. And they're like small little bite-sized chunks that are all strung together. So as you finish one section, that'll be a checkpoint to the next one. So if you die, you just start right at where the next section starts. And each section is timed, and then you're judged against this base time by this fictional other player or an NPC or something. I think maybe 80% of the time of the levels I finished under the time, but I don't know what I get for it. So I think it's a type of game, if you like Super Meat Boy, you'd like this. But if you're not into that thing, and which I'm not, I ended up getting stuck. I ended up into this what must have been like a challenge room where the level seems to be like 4 times larger than the previous other levels, and I couldn't get past it because there's no checkpoints in the middle of a section. It's only at the start of it.
The storyline for this game kind of reminds me of that movie Memento. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's where the guy has like extreme short-term memory loss, and he ends up tattooing things on himself, so he'll remember something about like who killed his wife or something like that. And by the end of the movie, you've kind of gone like backwards through his life. It's just bizarre.
Yeah. So you also have this mask that you put on, but you already have a mask on. So I'm confused what the mask of a mask is. But when you put that on, it pretty much gives you the stat screen of what stage section of the chapter you're on and how many you finished, and you can scroll back and see what your times were. And then in segments between the platforming sections, you can talk to people and read signs and kind of like the normal RPG-ish type of stuff. So they're talking about that you have to take out the trash. And then the entire first section of the game, people are referring to trash. I don't know if this is literal or a metaphor for something, but it all went over my head. So,
wow.
If you want to be confused, I have the first half hour up on YouTube.
Okay.
Maybe you'll make more sense of it than I have.
Now, hopefully this next game you've been playing actually makes a little bit more sense to you.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, wow.
Valkyria Chronicles 4 has a demo out. It went out last week. I've never played a game in this franchise. I had no idea what I was expecting. And this is pretty much Codename Steam with pretty graphics and anime girls.
That's a fair assessment.
So,
it's a very fair assessment.
All of these characters had names, personalities, and pre-existing relationships with each other, of which I don't know. I don't know if these are carryover from a previous game, or you're just supposed to be thrown in. I don't know. So apparently the demo is like the first 2 chapters. I didn't finish the second chapter. I ended at like the end of the big battle at the start that is in the middle of chapter 2. So I probably have maybe 15 or 20 minutes of just cutscenes, and that would have ended it. But at the end of that battle, I really didn't want to see anymore.
Wow.
Again,
okay.
I said it before when we talked about Codename Steam. I'm not a fan of that type of genre. I don't like Fire Emblem games. Don't like the grid-based strategy games. You know, it was a miracle that I liked Mario and Rabbids. But
well, I think
the whole strategy.
The franchise went a long way there in helping with that.
Yeah. So again, if that's the type of game you like, this is just more of that. Apparently, it's what I've heard James Jones on his podcast talk about. Like the 2 and 3 of the series kind of went downhill, but 1 was pretty good. 4 is like going back to the levels of 1, but they all had a similar type of story and gameplay. So, you know, if you already know the series, you know what you're getting into. If you don't know the series, look at Codename Steam. It's kind of that, just with better graphics.
Right. Okay. So this week I've been playing a couple of games that were released via the Indie Showcase or the Indie Highlight this week that the Nintendo UK put out. There were actual games that came out the same day that highlight reel came out. Morphy's Law and Bad North. And I'm not going to talk much about Morphy's Law because Zach, who many of you who have been asking to hear from, actually did a Let's Play video of Morphy's Law over on our YouTube channel. And I think you would definitely want to go over there and check that out, especially for his horrible Mexican accents that he tried to do. It's worth it. Just that the price of admission there, it's worth it just for that.
The price is 0.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the price is 0. No, Zach, if you hear this, I'm just kidding. It was a nice attempt. But even he was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So go over there and check that out. I will say it has a really distinct feel to it, but I still get a huge Splatoon vibe from it. I've played maybe 1 or 2 matches in it. I have not really got my chance to dig into it. But I've lost both of the matches that I've played, which does not set me up for a great future with this game. I feel like there's a tutorial at the beginning, but I feel like there's a pretty steep learning curve, just because there are the variables of, like you can shoot the legs and gain their mass, or you can shoot the arms and gain their mass, or you can shoot the chest. And it's not all about killing your opponents, kind of like Splatoon. The first match that I played was about stealing mass from the opponent's giant Morphe that's on the outside of the stage, and then taking it to a shrine to your Morphe, which would then transfer it back to your robot. And whichever team had the largest giant Morphe at the end of the match wins. And there's this epic moment where it shows the map and it shows these 2 giant Morphes, and the other one, the one that wins, punches the loser in the head and their head explodes. Which is this really totally random thing. But it's the match that I played was on this, a ship, and whichever Morphe is winning tilts the ship in the opposite direction. And so it has this oil slick floor, and you just slide all over the place unless you're on the sides. And it was really, really annoying. I'm not
I wouldn't like that. That
it left a really bad taste
idea
in my mouth. And then the second match that I played was the rules were, I don't remember what it was called, but basically it was which team stole the most mass in the game. So which team had members that grew the largest. And so
are they stealing churches?
No, not stealing churches. No, mass, size. The cool part about the game is you have unlimited ammo. So you can just run through the stage firing as fast as possible. You have a secondary shot, but that one has a recharge time, or you have to wait for it to come back. The part that I found that I really enjoyed is the customization, because these are They're robots, but they're inspired by Hispanic culture. So they a lot of like Sugar Skull stuff and a lot of like it looks a lot like some of the art you might see in Guacamelee and stuff like that, which was a game I totally loved when I played through it. So really cool. I'm not saying that I don't recommend it. It's just I need more time with it. Zach's video, you need to go watch it. However, I have spent an extensive amount of time with Bad North, and I can wholeheartedly recommend this game. If you love roguelikes, if you love real-time strategy, Jesse, you're not going to like this game. It's grid-based.
No.
But it's so fun and so easy to pick up. But the strategy of it, there's something to it. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Bad North by Raw Fury Games, it's and Coatsink. Basically, what it is you are a tribe who is defending random islands, like randomly procedurally generated islands, from Viking invaders. And when you start the game with 2 random squads, both of which carry swords, and you can move them around the map. And these Vikings are coming in on these ships, and when they get off, they're trying to pillage. They're trying to burn your village down. So you move your little guys over there, and they fight, and you go through all the waves, right? Well, depending on how big the towns are, they give you coins, and then those coins can be turned around to spend for upgrades on your squads and even changing them into different things. So you're like, in the beginning, they're just like an angry mob. Well, then you can change them into knights, or you can change them into archers, or you can change them into pikemen who, you can station on the shores, and they have like these big, long spears that enemies can't get through. And you do all of this with just some really cool looking cell shaded graphics and some really stylized art in the menus and things. And it's just, it's a treat, really. Like I have just enjoyed it. I found myself completely absorbed by it. I've played it every day since I downloaded it. I've played multiple times. And the idea is that you just want to see how far you can get. There is an end game, but when you die, or when you can die one of 2 ways. Either you die because you're advancing to the right on this map of islands, and you don't advance far enough before this line, which is chasing you, gets over where your location is, or all of your squads die on a map. And so along the way, you can pick up items to assign to your squads. Like today I had a Warhammer, which allows you to like hammer down on a space next to you and like knock foes into the sea. The other day, like the first playthrough I had a horn that when I blew it would call out troops from the villages around you, and they would come join you, and they would begin to fight. And like just finding all the upgrades and doing that, you can find new squads. Like if you go visit their island, they'll join up with you, and then they'll continue on from there with you. It's just a really, really fun game. It's just a totally neat package. There's really not anything like it on the Switch, which I think is refreshing. And so if you like real-time strategy, I hesitate to call it like Fire Emblem, because the fights, like in Fire Emblem, you have to move and you have to have range and you have to do this. This is more of I don't know, like you just move the units where they need to go and they do their job, right? If I was playing a board game, this would be called a worker placement game, because I would like place the people where they need to go, and then you can move them around at any time. So it's just really fun. If you like strategy games, if you like roguelikes, and roguelite, I guess, because there is an end eventually. If you like that type of thing, and I know there's a lot of roguelikes on Switch, and it's great. Fight me if you don't like that. Sorry. But it's just, like I said, it's a breath of fresh air, and I think you'd enjoy it. I have definitely enjoyed it. So that's what we've been playing this week.
So I forgot, you can't see me because I have the camera going only to YouTube, but I did have my fists up, ready to throw a punch.
Okay, well, that's fine.
For your benefit and the audio listeners' benefit, I did that.
Me and Jesse, 3 rounds next week. It's going to happen.
Didn't we already have this virtual fight on the Megadad's blog?
Yeah, giant inflatable boxing gloves. Yeah, it was a wrestling match, and I think we won. We won. I don't know.
I think it was one of us.
This is a cage match. We won. It was us versus the Megadads. I think we won. I don't know.
I thought they had the four of us individually, unless it was a different episode.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, let's go on.
The wrestling thing. Hey, speaking of wrestling things, let's move on and wrestle with the news, shall we? That's right. It's time for the news, and our news is brought to us by us. Actually, it's brought to us by you, our good friends over at patreon.com, who are patrons of the show. This week, we added 2 brand new patrons, and we want to send a shout out to TJ May and to Jonathan for hopping in and becoming patrons of the show. Thank you guys, each and every one of you who give each month to make Nintendo Dads what it is. Guys, we are having some, Gary, would you call them behind the scenes meetings about certain shows that maybe we used to do that we don't do anymore? Is that what you would call it?
Yeah, we've been talking quite heavily about quite a few things.
Yeah, so I think would it be fair to say that good things are coming down the pipe?
I think so.
I think that we finally have found some direction on some things that maybe we weren't able to deliver on before. And guys, we want you to understand, we got contacted over this past week, and this is just us being transparent, right? We got contacted over the past couple weeks by a patron who was talking about our post and pre-show recordings, that we used to do. And due to some shakeups and some roster changes and things around here, we haven't been able to do those. And so, guys, what we're doing is we're looking at a new way to add some value to that. And for all patrons, you need to be watching for news. Starting in September, our patron hangouts are coming back. And you just need to be looking for some of that. And dare I say, retro rewind. Or maybe it's going to be called something else. We don't know. But we're looking at these things, and we hear you. That's what we want you to hear more than anything. We hear you, and we value your opinion, and we value your patronage. And so thanks again for making Nintendo Dads what it is. Wouldn't be what it is without our fans. And so we're very appreciative of everything that you do. And thanks to our new patrons as well.
Yeah, and of course, if people have got any suggestions, then feel free to drop us a line.
Yes. God, look, there's that's what we thrive on, right? We thrive on our listeners communicating with us and letting us know, hey, this works, hey, this doesn't work, that kind of thing. So we hear you. Sometimes we miss an email or two. We don't mean to. We're all busy. We all have jobs. We're all dads. We're chugging along just like you guys are, and we're trying to do our best and deal with the cards that we've got. So let's move into news, guys. Top story this week, Nintendo UK dropped just out of nowhere, right? Blam, here it is, indie highlights for the upcoming months on YouTube. And thankfully, Jesse has done a great job and gone over there and, kind of typed up all the things that are going on. But what I want to do is before we get into kind of going through some specifics of this direct, let me ask this first. Can we call this a direct?
Well, it's tough, isn't it? Because it is a direct, really. I mean, the Nindies ones have always been a little bit different. The first one was a direct, and then the rest of them have been labelled stuff like Nindies at Home, or what was one called In the City, I think.
Yeah, this one didn't even call itself a direct.
It's indie highlights. I kind of have and maybe this is just nitpicking, and y'all can tell me if I am. Like, I kind of have an issue with this not being on message, right? Like, is it a direct? Is it not? Are all communications from Nintendo like this a direct, or does calling it a direct make it more special? You get what I'm saying? Like, I would feel like they would want all of these to be on with a certain name or with a certain structure.
Yeah, I think the difference is literally that this is Nintendo UK and Nintendo Europe taking it by the hand and doing their own thing.
Right.
Yeah, we've had a shake-up in Nintendo Europe. We've got a different president now. I have no idea who it is. I don't think the news has really been around that much about it. And I think that they're sort of, you know, it's kind of weird because everything so far has always been governed on the American side of things. We have directs that fit around American holidays. We have directs that fit around the events there. You know, the Nindy showcases are normally around PAX. Well, this weekend is the season of Europe. This and last week. It's a bank holiday here in England this week. We've got Insomnia 63 on the NEC in Birmingham this weekend, and we got Gamescom in Germany. So this is basically Nintendo UK, Nintendo Europe getting together and saying, right, this is our season. Let's do our own thing. So I think that's why it really doesn't fall into the directs. I think the directs are more of a worldwide thing. But hey, it's the internet. Everybody watches this, so it doesn't matter if it's a UK thing.
And the really interesting thing was that when this dropped, not only did Damon Baker, who is the head of like Nindies, I guess, right, tweet about it and talk about how it's out and everybody should go watch it, but then the Nintendo of America account shared the link to it. Mm-hmm. And, was like, everybody go watch this. And then later on, even, today, dropped news that there will be what they're calling a Nindies Direct on Tuesday of next week, August 28th. And we'll get into that here in just a few minutes. But I just think it was interesting that it's not, I don't know if I want to use the term on brand or on message or whatever it is. It's a little divergent. Although I will say this. The intro to this was on point. Whoever is doing their sound and graphic design and all that, video work for this, yes. It
actually reminded me of the first time that we ever saw a Nintendo Direct, and they had the crisp, clean visuals and stuff like that.
Yep.
But this one was so indie. Like, the way that the transition between a space battle to a rhythm game and stuff like that, they nailed it they absolutely hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
So let's talk about... I don't know why I didn't think of it until now, but this is, before E3, North America puts out something, whether it's a direct or they call it something else, usually beforehand, to get things out of the way that they don't want to talk about at E3. This is kind of the same but different because this is leading into Gamescom. Com is it M or an N? I don't remember. But everything here will be playable at Gamescom. So they're talking about things that they'll talk about, not talking about things that they're not going to talk about.
It's great timing for like Gary said, for Insomnia, for Gamescom. The audience was spot on. Let's talk about what was in this direct. Okay. So, very quick. And this was, it was rapid fire. It was almost 23 minutes long. Right. So tons of games. Like as soon as I saw that, I was like, man, they're going to talk about a lot. And so they talked about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 different games, which I thought was pretty good. And definitely for me, some highlights in this direct or in this, in the video, and some lows. Okay. So, let's talk about, Gary, for you said you watched it, of course the intro was fantastic for you. What are some other games that stood out for you in this, the highlight video, and you just went, yep, I'm buying that?
Monster Boy, without hesitation.
Oh gosh.
I was like, oh yes, this is the one. So the other one, the prequel to it, came out. Wonder Boy, yeah. Came out on my birthday on the first year of the Switch, and it's such a fantastic game. Now, I played that when it was a Master System original, and this looks like they've took what they did with the remake and amplified it to be its own thing, and everything was perfect with it. The graphics, the gameplay looks really cool. The You know, the animations, the music. What a fantastic trailer they made for that.
Oh, yeah, it was. I got a very, and I'm not meaning this in a disparaging way. Okay, I got a very 90s Sonic CD vibe from it.
Yeah,
which was
definitely.
cool. It was very good. The anime, I was just watching it and I was going, it looks like you're playing a cartoon, right? And this was going to be one of my highlights as well. I am super excited for this game. I do think its timing is a little unfortunate because it's really, like it's out same day as Pokemon Let's Go.
Yeah.
I'm afraid it's one of those games like Hollow Knight for a lot of people who it's a fantastic game and people have been talking about it, but it got lost in the shuffle this summer, right?
Speaking of getting lost in the shuffle, Prison Architect as well. That's a game that I really like the look of, but it's not been the subject of conversation because that got released the same day as Morphe's Law and Bad North.
Sure.
And it looks good. It actually looks really good. It's a nice, interesting concept. I think it's just literally released on the wrong day. And I think that the games you've been playing, Marty, goes for that as well. Like, is pure proof right there. But that's another one that sort of that I like the look of. And
yeah.
Bad North is one that I've had my eye on for at least 6 months now, I think. And yeah, that's the one that, if anything, I'll pick up out this list will be that and Monster Boy probably.
Awesome. Jesse, anything in this direct highlights for you?
Well, see, I've played Prison Architect before. I bought it on Steam last year or maybe 2 years ago, and I enjoyed it. But I played so much of it, I'm kind of sick of it. Probably wouldn't want to play it again, even with the DLC in it. But none of the other games really interested me. The one that comes the closest, but is still kind of dubious, is Baba Is You.
Yeah.
Because it has kind of a logic puzzle aspect to it. But at the same time, Typo Man didn't catch me either. Which,
right.
This is very similar to that, based on the just high-level premise. You know, deep down, it may be a completely different game, but just that's what I got from it. So I'll be looking into this one. The one thing I was amused by is when they talked about Morphe's Law, they said 60-ish frames per second.
I loved it. Way to play right into that.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because I always had this feeling that if you can't hit that 60 frames, then you should probably just limit it to something lower so it's steady. I've heard that Morphe's Law does drop quite a few times. So is that the right decision? Would you say that's the right decision to try and get it to run 60 as much as it could, but suffer some drops? Or is it something that you'd rather have just locked?
You know, I think that in my limited time with the game, like I've noticed that, but it's not been like game breaking.
Yeah.
So if you can get it to run closer to 60 more often than not, why not? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, even Dead Cells, which has no business dropping frames, does. And you know, we talk about that or people talk about, you know, dropping frames like no other system does it, right?
Yeah,
like no
every
other
system
has
does it.
errors. Like nothing ever goes wrong on Xbox or PS4 or PC. But anyway, so a couple of things that stuck out to me in this that I really am excited about. I think Everspace looks amazing. Like at first when that trailer for it came on, I was like, I don't know. About 10 seconds later, I was like, yeah, this is day one for me. You know, and of course, as soon as they said the magic word, roguelike, right? I mean, I was interested. But no, like that gives me hope. Like that's what I want Star Fox to look like, right? On the Switch. And I said, like watching that trailer, I said, so the Switch can't do graphics, right? You know, like that game, it looks incredible. And if it delivers on what is kind of promised there, like I'm totally in. Like I want that game day one. The other game that I'm really kind of interested in too is the Gardens Between. It kind of reminded me of a cross between like Fez and Monument. Have you ever played Monument on iOS?
No.
Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong, like I may have the wrong title, but it's like you like spin around different things and like give this weird like hat wearing little stick figure the ability to walk upside down on walls and stuff to get out of a maze. It kind of reminded me of that, but with like the time travel flair, right? Like I really, I don't know, puzzle games like that, you know, where there's a story and there's a natural progression, you know, always kind of pull me in. I'm super excited about it. Let's talk for a minute about the lowlights of the Direct, or the things that were maybe not, you know, up our alley. And I'm going to start with, I think Nightcall looks like garbage. Like that was not the game to start that reel with. To me, it looks boring. It's all in black and white. It was kind of odd. Like my son, like I go home anytime Nintendo has a presentation like this or anything, I'll watch it at my office, and then I'll go home and we'll watch it again with him. Right. And so like starting off with that was kind of odd with him. He's like, what are they doing? And I was like, well, they're trying to catch serial killers. And he's like, oh, you know, which again, the game, that audience is not for him, but it was just it was a really weird choice to lead off with. And I just really did not get it. Like, I don't
even remember what that looked like. So that tells you how memorable it was.
The other game that I just like immediately said, nope, don't care. In fact, I fast forwarded through this, or skipped through it in my initial viewing of the indie highlight reel was Slay the Spire. That just looks like shovelware to me.
With the card games?
Yes. Like they were showing like the battles and your character and the enemy characters when they attack just like jump forward and like there's, you know, numbers pop out. I was like, this looks shovelware.
I could have phased out while that was running. Well,
honestly, when they said card battle, I was sitting here in my office and I said Hearthstone. That's the first thing I said. I was like, oh my gosh, they're bringing Hearthstone. And then that comes up and it was, what? Like it was, and they spent so much time on the game.
That wouldn't be indies. Hearthstone wouldn't be indie.
I would argue that it is, but I know there's lots of people who would tell me I'm wrong, but that's okay.
I think the reason that game got highlighted so much is because it's been in beta, I think, on PC, and it's been going down pretty well. So people like the way it plays, from what I've read and what I've heard. Again, for me, I'm not a big fan of the card-based battle system thing. You know, it's not new, and when Hearthstone came out, it definitely wasn't new. It's been around for a very long time. Always puzzles me that people seem to go for this card thing. But it carries on being a thing, so obviously there's some people out there who obviously really like it.
Right.
But the interesting thing is I realised as soon as I saw the developer's name, I was like, oh wow, I never even knew they made games, which is Humble Bundle.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I was really shocked by that. Almost as shocked as when I first saw Adult Swim doing games.
I just wonder if it's more of, like, even with Adult Swim and Humble Bundle, if it's more of them publishing the game. And it's developed by someone else. Kind of like, you know, back in the day, Nintendo published Mega Man 6.
Yeah.
And Capcom developed it. I don't know. I know Adult Swim has, I think, moved on to actually developing games. But in the case of Humble Bundle, I would think maybe that's the first time I've seen that. So maybe it's from someone else and they're just publishing it. Those are my two, though. Like, there's a lot in here that I kind of went, that's okay. But those were the two that just, like, I just went, no, absolutely not. That's a hard pass for me. I know I'm going to catch crap for this. I don't care about Windjammers.
I've never even heard of them.
They acted like that was the second coming, and I was like, "What is this? This is awful. This is everything about the '90s I want to forget." And it was like, and then they showed again. And I'm like, "Oh, they're making a second one. Oh, yay! Well, if that's you and you like Windjammers, good for you." Also, another thing that I absolutely did not give a rat's butt about was Terraria. Who cares?
I was saying, I know a lot of people who are waiting for it to show up on Switch.
Oh, uh-oh.
And so
Gary's wagging his finger at me.
And we knew it was in development last year, and they're now telling us it'll be out sometime next year. So it's
I'm disappointed, Gary.
Getting a delay.
Yeah, I really love Minecraft, and I've been told that I need to play this, and it looks cool. So that's it, really. Other than that,
listen. You know how sometimes you get told to play something, and it's like the poor man's whatever.
Yeah,
that's Terraria.
Oh, okay. Well, interesting note on this is most of these games we've already seen before. You know, it's not a new sort of thing, and I think that's probably why they didn't label it as a direct. I think it was managing expectations.
Okay.
I think if they called it a direct, people would have expected far more from it, and I'm kind of glad they didn't because of that reason.
Well, is there anything here that you just said, yeah, hard pass?
You know what? I'm going to say something now, and it's honestly the truth of how I'm feeling. I really love the Nindies for the first year. There's so much shovelware that it's actually putting me off indies at the minute. Even the really good ones, like I didn't buy Dead Cells, I haven't bought Bad North, and it's literally because there's this truck that's reversed and dumped Nindies all over your doorstep, and it's damaging in my opinion. Like it's getting to the point now where there's just too much, and it's gonna eventually self-implode like Steam has. Because I mean, you remember a couple of years back, Steam was the hotness. Everybody was talking about it.
Please understand.
And now it's like if a game's out on Steam, it's like, well, saw that coming a mile off. And I kind of feel like the Switch is gonna get to that point very, very fast. And having two Nindy showcases pretty close to each other is furthering my proof that is going to happen. And you know, even with the good games, we're going to get overlaps of them that much that you're going to miss them.
Yeah.
And so
unless the eShop gets redesigned.
And the thing is now is that I didn't look at that and spot bad games. I only spotted ones that were standouts. Where I think last year there was games on them on the one when they did PAX. I think that was the Nindies in the city. I think it was
Nindies at Night was
Nindies at Night, yeah. And I remember watching that and thinking, wow, some of these games look hideous. And you know, the way that it is now, I only see the highlights really, and then the rest of it's just like, wow, that's another 50,000 10 a penny indie games coming out. And it's nothing against developers or anything like that. It's just an influx of the market is getting crazy. Like, you know, anybody can sit at home with a PC and build a game now. You can buy assets, you can buy mechanics and stuff like that, and you just give it your own lick of paint and it's a game. And yeah, it's getting...
Sometimes people don't even do that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, we've all played... yeah. So it's a tough one. And I think that market's going to get insanely tough, and I don't think we're going to hear as many, you know, of these success stories like the guys from Blossom Tales, where it saved their studio and stuff like that. I think that's going to get rarer and rarer now because it is going to start getting overflowed very fast.
That's a really interesting. No, that is. I won't say that's a hot take. I will say that's pretty close to the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's a little doom and gloom, but people, I mean, realize there's only so many times that we can get weeks worth of shovelware, and then have a week where we get Morphe's Law and Bad North and that not get buried, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I almost feel like that for Nindies to succeed going past this year, if Nintendo's plan is what we talked about a few weeks ago, you know, 20 titles a week, that there's going to have to be some kind of user interface upgrade for eShop, for the Switch, period.
Or get featured
Because
in their direct.
Doing on this side, having more categories like bestsellers, that doesn't mean anything. Because if you put out a game like The Messengers next week and it gets pushed down the charts by a bunch of shovelware, that doesn't do anybody any favors, right? And it doesn't do the developer any favor. It doesn't do Nintendo any favors. It doesn't do the fans any favors. So there's definitely a management problem. I think it's a twofold management problem. And I think you identified it really well, that there's who's letting all these games in. That's a management problem. And who's curating these games. That's a management problem, right? So hopefully, I did see today that Nintendo had put out some job listings for user interface people to work on that. And so maybe there's something coming. Maybe that, we say that and we're hopeful about it, but we're still waiting on themes, right? I mean, we're still waiting on themes. We're still waiting on folders. We're still waiting on all kinds of things that, quite honestly, I'm going to say it. I've said it from the beginning. Should have been there. Should have been there when it launched.
All of those are kind of all part of being a UI developer.
Yeah.
So,
right.
So,
and I know Miyamoto, had this big thing this week at some conference where he's like, he revealed that the reason that the Switch loads so fast is that like the user interface only uses like 200 kilobytes of information of data to load and all this stuff. And I get that, but it can do more, right? I mean, we're approaching 2 years out, and the icons and the text doesn't show up in HD. They're pixelated still. I mean, it's the little things that you notice and go, I wonder why.
And back to my original point, really, is there is definitely such a thing as too much of a good thing.
Yep.
I mean, we had a lot of people clamoring for a virtual console. If retro games get released on it now, such as Marty, your beloved Mega Man collection, people go nuts for it. Now, back in the Wii day where you had 10 a penny virtual console titles, if another, Mega Man, another Mario, another Sonic, another Zelda got released, it was like, yeah, we've already had the main set of them. We've had A Link to the Past, Mega Man 2, we've had the best. Who cares if Mega Man 7 is out or Link's Adventure, Zelda 2? Who cares? And that's why I'm kind of glad Virtual Console doesn't exist to that degree as well, because I think that alongside this Nindy thing that's happening right now, my good God, what would you do?
I mean, we're already drowning under the deluge of games that we have. That is spot on. Yeah, spot on. Brilliant, man. Any more talk about anything else you guys want to say about this indie highlights before we move on to the next part?
Just pow, 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 pow again.
Jesse, mark that.
Got it.
All right. So Nintendo of America has now announced that a Nindies Direct, as they call it, will launch this coming Tuesday, August 28th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And this will be directed at an American audience. And I don't want to take too much time here, but I just want to, like, one or two games that you feel like, what are some predictions? Like, what do you think we're going to see on this Direct? Gary, give us one or two games you think, what is the American Nindy Reel going to have?
I don't know. I actually don't know anymore. I really don't. I'm kind of expecting Chicken Wiggle to make an appearance somewhere.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just do. I just think he's going to appear somewhere.
Okay.
But other than that, I do not know. I don't know at all.
Jesse, what about you?
I'm kind of thinking we're going to see a lot of duplicate news. The things that were out today probably won't be mentioned, and probably will be swapped out with a few other things. Hopefully, we might have our own release today game, but I really can't think of anything specific.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're going to get news on two specific games. I think first and foremost, an Undertale official release date is a foregone conclusion. By now, retailers have pretty much spilled the beans thanks to Fangamer, that it's September 15th. Japan's getting it that day as well. So I think that's like, I feel like that's pretty much the release date. I mean, Best Buy's taking pre-orders with an unknown release date as well. So I think they'll spend a little bit of time on that. But I also think that we're going to get some information on Shovel Knight. It's been way too long since we've heard about King of Cards. And guys, we might even, I'm thinking that might even be the available today game.
Oh, I don't know, because I think they want to launch those amiibo at the same time. So I don't think they'd do that.
I forgot about the amiibo.
Yeah.
I actually have those pre-ordered and I forgot about them. So and I really want those amiibo. Those things are fantastic.
They're cool.
But yeah, you're totally right. They're gonna do that. But there's such a crammed release schedule between now and the end of the year. And I don't think they can afford to launch it in 2019. I think there's got to be a launch in 2018. They've taken longer on this campaign than they have on any other previous DLC for Shovel Knight. So I think number one, I think it's really going to be special. Number two, I'm ready to play this game. I love Shovel Knight. Also, there's a couple of games that I think that we might see during this, but I don't think they're kind of shoe-ins like those two. Shakedown Hawaii. It's been a while since we've seen anything about that. And Wargroove is playable at Gamescom right now. And they did their own stream about a week ago showing off some things. And so I think it's possible that we'll see Wargroove again on this, just to maybe, if it's not a release date, a reminder, hey, this game is coming out. It's coming to the Switch first. I think, isn't it? They said that originally, right? When they launched it, they would come to the Switch first.
I don't know, but wherever these events with indies in the UK, Wargroove has been there. It's been there every single time, but it's always been Xbox. Because let's not forget that Xbox and PlayStation also have indies, and Xbox is actually doing probably a better job than Nintendo trying to promote them. They have their own section called Idea Xbox, and they've had Wargroove there and Flipping Death and Bomber Crew all the time, and then the Switch has never had those really. And then if they do, it's always one event or two events where they've sort of took them along all the time. So Wargroove's always been there to some extent, just never really playable on the Switch. Yeah. So, but yeah, I totally see that as well. And let's face it, everybody wants that game.
Here's what I hope they do with, or don't do with, this Nindies Direct, and that is, don't show me indie games that you're not going to talk about for an entire solid year and hope I forget about, right? And then just drop them, because they did that with Bad North, they did it with Morphe's Law. They've done it. There's another one that came to mind that I really, really wanted when they first announced it was Kentucky Route Zero. Where is that game? There's been no talk about that, and we've got games from the very first Nindy Direct that still have not launched on Switch. And so, I know, the whole idea of the Direct was that Nintendo would showcase things that were coming up soon to get you excited about them. That's not soon. A year later is not soon. That's approaching hey, here's a Spider-Man game and we'll give it to you in 4 years level of presentation.
Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, there you go. Which will never see the light of day. Kingdom Hearts, 13 years in development. Beat that. Anything else, Jesse? Anything you expect to see at this Direct or predict that we'll see?
No, I've kind of given up on trying to predict anything, because every time I do, it's wrong. And well, I've got nothing.
Hey, we didn't want to rub your face in it, but never mind.
I'm going to make one prediction. There's going to be a neat little puzzle game, because there's always a neat little puzzle game in these Directs.
Okay, I'll say it.
Yeah.
I want to see 7 billion humans.
You know, it's funny. We got an email about that today, and it's launched on every platform but the Switch.
I know. I'm like
Which
really,
they said
really
in
close.
parentheses, it says coming very, very soon. So maybe Tuesday.
Really close to buying it on Steam just because it's out. But
Ah,
I'm like,
no.
no, I'll wait for Switch.
You should wait for the Switch. You know you'll enjoy it better there. So, guys, tune in to the Nindies Direct next week on Tuesday. We'll talk about it on next week's show. Let's move on and talk about this. Nintendo is continuing to slowly, like a concrete faucet, leak little bits of information about their online service that launches next month. And a little bit of news came out this week that, two news items here. The first is that Nintendo Switch's online app will allow for voice chat during NES games played through the Nintendo Switch Online subscription service. The second news item of this is that Diablo 3 will be the first third-party game to use the Nintendo Switch Online app for voice chat, thus dashing our hopes, ultimately, that Nintendo is going to give up on this insane idea of using anything but your smartphone to talk to other people.
Yeah, taking out the Diablo 3 thing from this picture, just that the first item is there's 2 features I'll probably never use.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can see it making sense to have some form of voice chat with Diablo 3, but again, if I ever did buy that and play it online, I'd probably still use like a real.
What I don't
communication
understand
system.
is why allow Fortnite to do it and show that it can be done and done well, and then lock it up in every other game. It makes absolutely zero sense. It's bonkers.
Agreed.
It makes, there is no argument at this point that Nintendo can make that this is better. They're like, oh, well, it allows for portability. You can do it anywhere. You know what? If I'm on the bus and I'm playing Fortnite, or I'm at my, I'm sitting here at my desk in my office and I'm playing a quick game of Fortnite, I'm probably not going to want to talk to anybody anyway.
Yeah, that's my opinion of it as well.
Well,
I don't
outside
need
Japan,
voice
how many
chat
buses
everywhere.
have Wi-Fi?
Right. Right. And like, I don't want to be that weirdo talking to my headphones while I'm playing a video game in the back of the bus. I'm sorry. I'm already strange enough. I don't want to be that guy. Don't want to add another layer to the onion. Right. And I'm going to go on record. I'm going to say this. I don't want to talk to people while I play NES games. No. I don't care. I don't care that we can talk during Dr. Mario. Who cares? This is absolutely unnecessary feature.
I have no plans of even playing the 2-player feature of NES games, if I even play the NES games.
No.
Much less talking to the people.
I can guarantee, you know how many, look at me. People who are watching on YouTube, you can see this. People listening, you cannot see this. Do you know how many times I'm going to play 2-player Ice Climbers? This many.
It's less than
0.
1 for those who can't see.
0. You know, let's just be real.
How
many times I'm going to play Ice Climbers, period?
Yeah, I was going to say, how many times are you going to play?
0.
Right.
0. I don't care. Here's what Nintendo needs to do. And look, I know what's going to happen. There's going to be a bunch of people who are like, well, you know, Nintendo doesn't do things like that and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Nintendo needs to innovate. Nintendo needs to be new. Nintendo needs to get up with the rest of us. Just give us some info about the freaking service. It is literally 4 weeks away, and we know nothing. We know next to nothing. They won't even release the other 10 NES games.
I'm surprised they haven't done that by now.
But, you know, like, we don't live in a time anymore where, like, bare bones info gets you by until it launches. It's time for us to have some info about the online service. Tell us what it can and can't do, and let people make a decision. For the love of God, it's only $20 a year, $35 if you're for a family. It's not that big a deal. If this is going to replace Virtual Console, great. But I don't want, number one thing, I don't want to have to be connected to the internet to play the NES games. Please just come out and give us a straight answer if that's going to happen or not. I don't want to stream the classic games. I want to be able to download them. And if I can't, then there's no way I can use that service. And there's no sense in me even paying for it. So I'm sorry. Rant over. I'm done.
You know, I'm biting my tongue so bad because that voice chat app is so dumb.
It's
like,
bad.
The thing is, it's an okay companion app, right? Even though I think most people stopped buying gear on Splatoon after the first week. But that's a nice idea. Telling you that your friends are online while you're out and about, also a nice idea. Voice chat really doesn't need to be on this thing. It should be an option on it, and that would have made, a ton of sense. You could join a party chat while you're out and about, while you switches at home with your friends who are playing. That would be cool. But to have it as the focus of this thing, I mean, we've all had this rant for well over a year now. Even if Nintendo released a dongle that you had to buy their first-party dongle to be able to use a headset in the dock. I would have been fine with that. But this is dumb.
I don't understand. Like, they've had Splatoon 2 came out a year ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been out a full year. They have had an entire year to hear all these negative reactions. They have had an entire year to course correct. They've had an entire year to come up with something different. And they just haven't done it, which is the most Nintendo thing that Nintendo has done in the last 12 months.
I love the fact that one of the biggest complaints was, Mario Kart and ARMS isn't on this app. But don't worry, they'll get that cardboard bike working.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you're gonna be able to ride a cardboard bicycle in Mario Kart, but where you want to chat with people playing Mario Kart? Please. Nobody chats while they play Mario Kart. Nobody wants to talk to their team and or their opponents in Splatoon. Come on.
Oh, I love the fact that this has probably been one of the most ranty episodes of Nintendo Dads ever.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just tired and I haven't had my medicine today. I don't know. But seriously, and like, it's tone deaf. It's absolutely tone deaf, and I just don't understand it. I guess that's what it is. Like, I just have to sit and shake my head and say, "Oh, Nintendo." Kind of like, and you know why it's disappointing, and you know why I'm so ranty about it, is because I did that a lot during the Wii U era, and I thought maybe we were past it. I thought maybe we were gonna, up and up. Sales are up, everything's up. Nope. We're gonna continue to be weird.
And I mean, the crazy thing is, it's been third parties on both systems who've proved it otherwise. We had Monster Hunter with voice and text chat on the Wii U, integrated, built in. They did the same on the Wii. Monster Hunter used the Wii Speak better than Nintendo arguably did. And now we've got Fortnite leading the charge with the Switch. It's amazing. You literally could not write this.
Here's the suggestion I have. Nintendo trades its compression secrets, right? Trade the compression secrets for how to do online right. Because, hey, Epic's figured it out. Just let us plug in the headphones and talk.
I mean, the plus thing is at least Epic has sort of wired this into their Unreal Engine now. So any Unreal games from now on, we possibly could see it.
That's
so
true.
There is a sort of light at the end of the tunnel from it all, I suppose.
And we may be blowing up the wrong person. This may be people coming in Nintendo and saying, "Yeah, we will plug into that voice chat app." But I can't see them doing that. I can't see this developer going, on the other systems we just plug into the controller, but on yours we want to plug into the smartphone and drain their battery. It's a great idea. Fantastic.
So I think we should do a barrel roll to avoid this now. Which barrel roll actually leads into another news topic.
Okay.
Peppy could be appearing in Starlink Battle for Atlas. As a playable character as well. So what do you guys think of this? Do you think they're going to do the barrel roll like you did in Star Fox Zero?
Why did they choose the worst Star Fox companion? Everyone knows that this should have been Slippy Toad. Everybody.
I could imagine Slippy Toad being a playable character, and like how they did it with Peppy using the barrel roll thing. Instead, every once in a while, Slippy will just go, "I got one of my back, Star Fox."
Every time you tap him to the controller, every time you put him in the thing, it pops up on the screen. I got one on my back.
Like the menus are on fire. He's like, "Oh no, what's going on, Star Fox?"
Or you go all the way back, and go back to the original Star Fox, and it's like, badam, 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 badam.
It's amazing. Like, yeah, just, I don't know. I mean, I could see this happening, but this also means they're probably going to release a toy for it as well. So I don't know. It's
Can we just go ahead? Can we just go ahead and say that this game is probably going to eventually be Star Fox?
Yeah, it kind of makes me think if they're going to start doing this, are they just going to shove Samus and a gunship in there as well?
No, it's not going to be Samus. No, we can't do anything with her. It's going to be an Inkling. It's going to be an Inkling.
Federation Force.
And you know what?
You
do that. You gasp and you grab your face and hold it in your hands because you know I'm right. Because everything has to be Inklings now.
That is the worrying thing.
I'm going to still say I'm cautiously optimistic for this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like every time I see it, I'm like, yeah, this is looking good. I've not seen anything on it yet that's made me go, I regret pre-ordering the starter kits. I'm probably not going to buy all of it.
It's like I said, from the point of view of someone who's played it, right, with managing expectations, it's an RPG. It's not the next Star Fox. It's not the next best space shooter. It's an RPG with a lock-on system. That is what you've got to remember, because if you're expecting epic dogfight battles in space, it's got those, but they're not really so epic. Not from what I've seen. But it is a really good RPG.
Okay.
So just bear that in mind.
Let's wrap around and talk about a couple of more things here. Arcade Archives versus Excitebike was announced for the fall. I love Excitebike.
Yeah.
I hate Arcade Archives. I said it. I'm done. I'm not buying anymore after versus Mario Brothers. I didn't buy Punch Out. I take that back. I bought Donkey Kong. I'm done.
You don't the simulation of inserting the token?
No, we've talked about that. I don't want to press the R button to put a quarter in to my Switch. Be done with it. Let me press start.
Well, just go to high score mode, then it does it for you.
Now, I think the news here in this is that Versus Excitebike has never been released on a home console. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, yes. Most of these arcades have never been outside.
Yeah.
Never had an official release as the arcade port.
Now, you know what?
Donkey Kong was the same thing.
I will probably buy Punch Out when my flip grip comes in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm waiting. It does look interesting, but I don't know. You reviewed it and you didn't you said some things that turned me off totally from it, but I might pick up Excitebike like if it's a week where I don't have anything or it's been a while since I bought something on the eShop. That Arcade Archives just turns me off.
I'm still waiting for Popeye.
You think that's going to happen and it's never going to happen?
I know it's never going to happen, but it doesn't mean I don't want it.
Right, I understand. Square Enix announced this week that Dragon Quest Builder 2's Japanese release date will be announced on Wednesday morning. I love Dragon Quest Builders. I didn't get very far into it, but I love what I played. It's my son's actually, so he has it in his case and has played it a lot. It was a perfect fusion of RPG, Minecraft, I told him one time, I was like, this is Minecraft with stuff to do, like with a mission. That's why I liked it. So I'm looking forward to seeing the upgrades. Are we going to get this game day and date with other systems?
Probably not. We didn't because the first builders there was a delay between the Japanese release and the everywhere else because of the.
Well, yeah, I know, but I mean, like, if is it going to come out on other systems? Here in the States,
eventually.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, are we going to get is it going to be PS4 and Switch, and they're going to come out on the same day?
That's probable. But again, right now all we know is that the Japanese version is coming. It's going to be announced. So the announcement of the announcement thing that I hate is is the news story here. But
the trailer of the trailer.
I'm sure there will be an English version coming. It's just that isn't announced yet.
And you know what, Jesse? It is more likely to be here, more than likely to be here before Dragon Quest XI.
Don't say that.
I had to say it. I'm sorry. That was a very jerky thing to say. But speaking of Diablo 3, we talked about this earlier. Diablo 3, Blizzard announced that the Eternal Collection will launch on cartridge with the complete game. No download required. I don't think there's much to say there other than that's a pretty cool achievement, considering that Switch cart sizes aren't that huge, and Diablo 3 is a pretty impressive game.
It's kind of sad that they have to make that announcement.
It is. Must have been a slow news day. And speaking of slow news days, Amazon Prime pre-orders, 20% discount on select games will end on Tuesday, being replaced with $10 in Amazon credit for future purchases. Every gamer club thing has been destroyed.
Well, this is still
Best Buy, then GameStop, now Amazon.
Yeah. Well, this is only a net difference of $2, but it now means I still have to pay full price for that $60 game instead of just getting it for $48.
That's true. That's right. And that has affected a lot of people, and a lot of people are upset about it, just like they were with the GameStop Elite Pro membership and Gamers Club over at Best Buy. Be interesting to see what comes next, if anything. We're going to wrap news up today with a couple of games that we think you need to keep your eye on this next week. We talked about this last week, but I just want to mention again, The Messenger is coming out August 30th. I am super hyped for this game. I know that select few media outlets have already gotten access to it. I know Greg Miller over at Kinda Funny posted a picture on Twitter of a Switch, and he was playing it. Darn you, Greg. I like you, but I don't like you because you're playing The Messenger early. But maybe we'll be playing it early. I don't know, hopefully. But that comes out August 30th. Also, a game we have not talked about yet on this show other than to announce its release date, and that is coming up very soon. Yokai Watch Blasters, White Dog Squad, and Red Cat Core are coming out on September 7th. Both of them are basically, it's like Pokemon. They're basically the same game with a few differences about your starters and different things like that. If you've never tried a Yokai Watch game, this is probably one I would watch a review on or watch a video about first because it's a huge change to the core gameplay. It's not so much of a, like Yokai Watch has been like a squad-based RPG, turn-based fighting or like real-time fighting. This is more of a MOBA, like, your yokai are running around on a map and there's like other yokai they have to fight and big boss characters, they have to work together to take them down. But man, I'm excited about it. Like, I love, anybody who knows me knows I love Yokai Watch. Love those characters. I think it's not getting the popularity it deserves. Because Level 5 designs some incredible games, and their art designs are awesome. And the humor in these games is so good. Just keep an eye on that. That might be something that's right up your alley. Either of you guys got any games that we need to be keeping an eye out for?
I put in the notes released that the 3DS version of Luigi's Mansion was announced, but it got deleted somehow. So let me look it up again.
That is correct. I believe it's October 12th or 15th.
12th.
That was my fault, Jesse. I'm sorry. I thought that we had talked about that last week. It comes out on October 12th.
No, I think that was a new news item. The date was announced earlier this week.
I know. That's what I was saying. I thought we talked about it last week. That's my bad. Luigi's Mansion for 3DS is out on October 12th here in the States, October 19th in Europe, and I'm looking forward to playing that one again. And I love Luigi's Mansion. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because they're excellent games. But I just love that series, and I'm hoping that we've got Luigi's Mansion 3 coming up here soon.
Yeah.
Because that HD Luigi in the Belmont reveal was just so cool.
I've actually never played the game.
Jesse, you need to play this game. This is your time.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, other than that, we got Monster Hunter and Freedom Planet as well this week. Right. So there's a good selection of stuff. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's a really big week. It's a really big week for games on the Switch. But hey, if you believe the eShop, every week is a big game, or is a big week for games on the Switch, right? Guys, let's transition out of news and finish up our show this week with the community spotlight. All right. Lots of engagement over on Twitter tonight, where every week we ask you guys to send us your suggestions for topics or questions for the show. Not as many emails this week. Guys, send us some email. We may not always catch them or get back to you, but we are watching. We try to, just pick a few for each show. And sometimes some of those slip through the cracks. But I'm going to start with our email tonight. This is from Jesse Clever de Great Vidal. And here's what he says. By now, I'm sure that y'all might have talked about Nintendo suing a giant ROM-based website. It's very interesting that now that the Nintendo Online service is about to launch, that they're taking legal action like this. To me, it seems like they are mad that people are hacking the SNES and NES Classic, and instead of programming them harder to get hacked, they simply want to scare or shut down said websites. Or maybe we are getting what we've all speculated for some time now and getting a Netflix of some sort. What are your thoughts on this? Gary, what about you?
Nintendo's just protecting what's theirs. That's the bottom line of it. I mean, they obviously knew that the NES and Super NES were going to be hackable, and they didn't even correct that for the re-release. They knew it was going to happen. I mean, it's like any band that puts out music, it's going to be illegally downloaded at some point. But what you can do is you can stop it at the source. So if you can stop ROMs being a thing, then you'll stop hacking being a thing in that sort of way. Now, there's a bit of a blurred line with hacking because some people believe it's okay as long as you're on the original copy. These are people normally who believe that the law is what they want it to be. Licensing for games is actually on the media that it's originally formatted in. So if you download a copy of Zelda 1 because you've got it on the NES, it's still illegal. Your licensing for Zelda 1 was for that cartridge. So Nintendo, if you read licensing agreements, they have the right to take away licenses as well. There's a thing. So it's all legal complications and stuff. They're just being protective. Wouldn't we all do that? If we all made a film and put it out and someone took it, we would be angry as well. So I can't blame them in the slightest.
I think that the reactions on this are coming from a couple of places. Number one, it's been a while since we've seen Nintendo be this aggressive, right? In going after people like this. Secondly, I think there's a newer generation of older Nintendo fans. And what I mean by older is not kids, right? And this newer generation of older Nintendo fans may not remember Nintendo just absolutely like a rabid dog going after R4 cartridges. You remember all that? I mean, Nintendo was rabid about that, especially Nintendo of Japan over in and around Malaysia and Indonesia and places like that. Because, I mean, you used to be able to just like go to vending machines and buy R4 cartridges and download anything you wanted. But, you know, Nintendo, I think how they beat this is, and another place that they need to look at this is piracy of games that are out right now. I saw a video not long ago of someone gleefully, willingly laughing about it that they were downloading WarioWare Gold to their 3DS via homebrew or however they were doing it. It was not the eShop. Let's put it that way, right? And so I think in those situations, you know, Nintendo is already implementing some stuff with Switch online accounts, right? You know, with banning people from there, and they're finally using some anti-cheat software on or measures on Splatoon 2, which has been a huge issue in that community. So I think that you know they're getting there, but here's another facet to this. And Jesse, I didn't come to you because I want you to kind of talk about this because I think this is a softball for you. I think a lot of people's concern with this issue is that as ROMs disappear, we're kind of losing the history of gaming, right? We're losing the ability to archive things because consoles wear out, cartridges wear out, battery backups die, that kind of thing, right? Controllers fizzle out. And there's whole like sections of gaming history that have not been released on Virtual Console, you know, either for licensing reasons or whatever. I'm not even necessarily saying good games, but just games in general that we're missing. There are huge gaps in lineups, and I think that's where people like. I want to be careful that I say this in the right way. That ROMs are almost a necessary evil in that respect.
Right.
Because no one's archiving this stuff. So what do you think about this? Like from that perspective?
Yeah, I understand like the emulation scene and the desire to archive it and keep the history. But on the other side, that's the only way to do that is piracy for the most part, unless you happen to own 8,000 arcade cabinets, for example, for that emulation software. And on the other hand, not everything can be archived and saved for history. Like, for example, Coca-Cola doesn't save their 1985 formula that was hated, so people can still go back and see what it's like. No, that's gone and it's never going to come back again. And that's ultimately going to happen with a lot of these older technologies, especially the hardware that is more, you know, physical based as opposed to digital based, or more like, analog computers instead of digital.
I get that, but we as a society are so meticulous about archiving and like enshrining music and movies, which are art forms. And it's been argued lately that the video game is an art form as well. I guess I don't understand why we don't see the push for that like we do movies and music and even books.
All music through one media. You can go on iTunes and download whatever you want. You can go on Spotify, listen to whatever you want. Gaming's a little bit more awkward.
Again, everything there is properly licensed, and someone is profiting from it. Of course, if no one can make money off of it, it's not going to get licensed.
And so that lends the point then that if Nintendo were to go and properly license all this stuff, I mean, would they make money from it? Do you think that the interest is that big for that? Like, if Nintendo said, we're going to compile an online archive of all however many NES games, and you'll be able to play them through your Switch for this much.
I don't think the demand for that is that high. For them, so Nintendo wouldn't be putting forth the effort to make that available. So it's a catch-22. People want them legally. Nintendo wants to. I'm sure will gladly take money from people who want it, but so few people want that many games in a bundle that it isn't worth the effort to do it.
The problem with it is like you get into games that are so tied up in licensing to different people who aren't even alive anymore, companies that don't even exist anymore. You would never be able to have a complete library. But in that case, like,
Right, well,
and I'm going to play devil's advocate here, okay? In the case of those games, why not allow emulation? Why not allow a ROM? Like, why in the world not allow a ROM of like McKids, which I know that's just maybe not the best example, but it's a game I just pulled out of nowhere. Like, why not allow a ROM of, you know, I'm trying to think of it. I'm just trying to think of obscure NES games, right? Operation Vice. Like, those games are never going to be remade. Those companies don't even exist anymore in some cases. Why not just, why is it unable? Why are we unable to allow that?
Well, does Nintendo actually have the rights to do that?
Yeah, they would have licensed them originally. So that's what it all boils down to. It's illegal, right? It's Nintendo's property. They're just protecting it.
Well,
like
just because it was Nintendo licensed it for the software to run on their hardware doesn't mean that they own the rights to the software. That would land on whoever published it and whoever rights, if any, was sold or to down the road if that company went under.
Yeah, but I think the issue is that the licensing is running on the NES ROM. So there's something in there that belongs to Nintendo regardless, either way. And that's all that it really boils down to. At the end of the day, archiving's a good thing. Sharing archive for free to play anybody over the internet is probably not so much of a good thing. And I agree. I think some of these games should just see a release. You know what? This is a game that you won't play again. You won't buy it again. So why not play it for free? However, right. It's down to the individual companies. Some of it's not going to happen. Archiving needs to happen. Sharing it over the internet really doesn't. Now, I'm not saying that I haven't got ROMs. I haven't, everybody's done it at some point. But at the end of the day, if they're protecting what's theirs, they're protecting what's theirs. That's my opinion on it.
And that's where we have to land, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think we've actually, in saying all this, I don't think we've answered Jesse's question, which was, are we getting Netflix?
Nope.
Is that not okay?
Well,
no, we're getting this online service, and that's what Nintendo's going to do. I think that's transparent.
I think in time it may evolve to something on a very small scale. Right now we're getting 20 games, which is, if that's what you consider Netflix of 20 games, sure. I'm sure.
I do think that it's interesting. I think it's interesting that Nintendo has been very careful to emphasize 20 at launch with more on the way.
Right. I do expect this to expand. I do expect it to expand beyond NES in the future. It's just all we know is we're starting with only NESs.
Although, let's say this, for our good friend Zach Erickson, who is not here, high hopes, low expectations. You're not getting 20 NES games every month. It's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to be at a turtle's pace. There you go.
Now, in all fairness, when I said no, it's the Netflix thing, which is the reason why I said no. This is essentially kind of the same thing, right? Yeah. This subscription service, from what we know of.
Will we see 400 games available? No.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the Netflix thing, I always see it as any third party, any publisher will be chipping in. That's not happening. That's not happening. That day and age died with the Wii, unfortunately. I think.
Honestly, if we were going to see third parties, why would we be seeing, the Mega Man Legacy Collection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Totally.
I think in like SNK also putting out a collection, and
Sega Ages.
Big
yeah,
ages,
so
yeah. It's
that's how
look
the
for
third
it to
parties
be
are
first
handling
party
it.
games. It's going to be first party games.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
before we leave this topic, going back to the arcade emulation, did you see the story behind Sky Skipper?
No.
Go back and check on it from the Treehouse. It was kind of piggybacked with this talking with the arcade Donkey Kong, and it's got a really interesting story. I won't show it here. Just go check that video.
So was that like the Nintendo Minute about with Arcade Archives Donkey Kong?
No, this was Treehouse as part of E3.
Oh, okay.
I forget which day, but if search for Treehouse Donkey Kong, and the Sky Skipper story will be in the same video.
Okay, cool.
Basically,
Yeah, I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah. Short story. The short version is there was a test. Literally 10 cabinets hit North America as a test market. It bombed. They were ordered to return them or destroy them, but they kept one, and because they kept one, they were able to release this game.
Huh. Very cool. Very cool. So there is a little bit of fuel for the fire for archiving.
So so Nintendo themselves are wanting to archive their games as well, but they also want to monetize it.
Right.
They are.
I think it's something that because it hasn't been done, I think nobody really knows how to do it. Right.
Right.
And so, yeah. Well, let's move on. I personally want to read this one because it's about me. Tim Dosette writes in or tweets at us on Twitter and says, "At Nintendo Dads, can I please have an entire podcast dedicated to at Marty Estes talking about only Mega Man, nothing else? Hashtag I can dream."
Someone in the chat says you should stream X7.
Oh gosh. Here's what I'm gonna do. I may do a side cast when Mega Man 11 comes out. Although I will say that I've been invited to be on a future episode of Nintendo Nostalgia, because I came on there about a week or two ago. We were supposed to talk about Mega Man 101. It was the week after the Smash Direct with King K. Rool, and Jacob Rush could not let it go, and I'm totally throwing him under the bus here because there were 4 of us on there, and me and Tom Qualls talked way too much. And we spent an hour on Smash, and they didn't want to spend another hour on Mega Man because they were wussies and losers. But they've asked me and a few others come back for a completely Mega Man centric episode. And we'll let you know when that is. So maybe that'll scratch the itch there, Tim. It's a Bug Hunt man on Twitter tweets us and says, "What game from Wii U or prior would you like to see a deluxe version of on the Switch?" Jesse, I know what you're going to say here. Just say it.
Does it have the initials TMS?
Yes.
Tokyo
Am I
Mirage
right?
Sessions.
Am I right?
That's where I went. That's the first thing I thought of.
I knew that, as soon as I read this question, I was like, I know what Jesse's saying.
Yeah. When people first started talking about wanting to see that on the Switch, I'm like, do I really want to double dip? Do I really want to play a 60 to 80 hour game again? Note, I haven't even gotten around to start Octopath yet, because I almost got to the end of the Wii U version, but never finished it.
If Tokyo Mirage Sessions comes out on the Switch and you've not started Octopath, you might as well just sell it.
I bought it digitally.
Oh, no. Gary, what about you, man?
I'll get to it
Wii U
eventually.
or prior game you would like to see a deluxe version of?
Oh, it's so hard because I don't want to see anything. I don't want to see anything come back. I want new, man. Let's leave it at that. I want new. I can't even think of anything because
Really?
I just don't. Yeah, I don't want anything.
No. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I've talked about this on the show, but the obvious answer is Super Mario 3D World.
I played it, man. It's done.
It doesn't matter if you've played it. It's the best Mario game of the modern age. Bottom line, it had the best music in a Mario game of all time. You add that in, you make a deluxe version of it, and you add in a pack of DLC characters, or DLC because it's free LC. It comes with it. You add in new characters and maybe a new level, new stage. Done. Gangbusters.
Did you just say that Mario 3D World was the best modern Mario game? Then
I did.
If me and you were in the same room, you'd have hickeys right now.
See, I disappointed you earlier. Now I've made you happy.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I think we've had more than enough ports. To say I'm not against them, I just don't personally want anything else ported. I'm happy.
I don't know that I want anything else ported this year.
Yeah.
So maybe like a year and a half down the road, you want to bring out, because I think this is a Mario game that tons of people missed, and they shouldn't have, right? Yeah. It's a gem, and it's totally. Man, like there's so many cool ideas in that game.
Are you trying to say that you want Mario over Game & Wario? Yeah.
Actually, I enjoyed Game & Wario.
I was disappointed in that game.
I enjoyed Game & Wario simply for the Launch the Franks game, which me and my family played religiously. We love Launch the Franks.
I'm sure I mentioned this in the show before, but it would have been years ago. But when I was at E3 2011, they had a bunch of tech demos out, most of which turned into one form or another the mini games in Game & Wario.
Right.
So one of my favorite games there was Shield Pose. So, which when it came to this, was the last game you unlocked. And they changed it so that where they ruined what I thought was the best part.
It was awful.
So it was like I was completely disappointed in the game.
I liked Fruit. I really liked Fruit. And I liked the Frank game. And I really liked the photo game too. You know, like where you're finding the person or is that Fruit as well?
I don't remember. It's been so long.
I think there was a photo one. Where you like held the pad up to the TV and you moved it around and.
Yeah, it was the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there's still a video on the VG Tribune YouTube channel of Roger and myself playing that Shield Pose game. So.
I'm looking this up now because I'm legitimately interested. There was Arrow. In which players control Wario when he must defend himself from a crop of strawberries from oncoming robots. Shudder, that was the name of it. Photography game hosted by Mona. There was Ski, which was worthless. Patchwork.
I like the robot one. I think I liked.
Patchwork was okay. Kung Fu was in this game. Also, you just guide young Cricket over a series of platforms. There was Gamer. Which, by the way, that's probably the most fully fleshed out game in the entire game package. But Gamer came back in WarioWare Gold, so that's a really cool addition. Design is where you design a robot, you draw on the screen.
See, that one I liked.
Yeah, that one was really good. Ashley, you tilt the gamepad to guide Ashley on her broom. Lame.
That was horrible.
Taxi, I thought this one was good. You use the gamepad and the player drives around, dribble, and spits.
I didn't like that one.
And then there's Pirate. That's the one you were talking about.
Yeah.
The Shield game. And then there's the multiplayer titles were Disco, which was worthless. Fruit, Islands, which is the one where you launch the Franks, and Sketch. We loved the Sketch. Like that was a really cool. Like you would get players take a turn holding the gamepad and draw pictures based on certain clues. While other players guess what the clue is and you award points. It always was fun. The kids really enjoyed it. I think I've still got Game & Wario somewhere. If I do, we may play that tomorrow. I don't know. Probably not. I've got other games to play.
It's on my hard drive.
Yeah. So my vote, Bug Hunt Man is, as you heard, Super Mario 3D World. It needs another chance. Leave New Super Mario Brothers U and Luigi U behind. I don't care. Bring me the 3D World. That's all I want. I'm fine with anything else, or I'm not fine with anything else. I love this guy's name. All right, we talked about this before the show. This makes me laugh. Grizzle Von Sizzle tweets at us and says, besides Spider-Man and Red Dead Redemption 2, the single-player games I'm most excited about right now are on other systems. Besides Metroid Prime 4, which doesn't launch until TBD, what new single-player experiences are coming out soon on Switch that should be on my radar?
The first game I thought of was Dragon Quest XI will be on Switch. We think we might have said this earlier. Will be on Switch eventually. It is coming out in PS4, I think the same week as Spider-Man. So, again, kind of a bad week for that.
Yeah.
But, yeah so that will be coming to Switches at some point next year. Two games that was announced that I've actually never heard of, but I'm told that it is kind of Dragon Quest-y like. So they think I might like them since I like Dragon Quest. It's an HD remake of Grandia 1 and 2, which originally on the PlayStation and PlayStation 2
that series has a huge amount of fans. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've never heard of them. So those games are on my radar. The HD remake will be coming out later this year, but no official date has been announced.
I think for me, all I really could think of was if you've not played Octopath, then that's definitely where you need to go to answer this question. But I can't really think. I mean, like, Pokemon is multiplayer that's coming out. Smash is definitely multiplayer. I don't know, Gary. What do you got? You got any suggestions?
No, not really. I mean, to be honest, with everything that's been released is multiplayer focused, and I think it's kind of in the right to be. Really, it's a party system at the end of the day, and part of the flip side of it is that online gaming is probably, where it's at the minute. There's not really many one-player games coming out. In fact, the only one I know of that I enjoyed so far was Starlink. But you can get that on other systems. So that defeats the question again.
Right.
So
Grizzle, I don't know if you've heard about this game, but there's just a really not a well-known game. Not very many people have played it. It's called Breath of the something. Breath of the Dog. You know what? I'm making a joke, but let me be honest. That reminded me of something. Okami HD just came out for the Switch. And if you've not played that, I've heard really, really good things. If you are into a Zelda-esque type of game, that's definitely single player. It makes use of the Switch's touchscreen as well. So that might be something for you to check into. And it's only $20.
In all fairness, his question is upcoming games on the Switch. I mean, Okami again is on everything as well. So, and it's not upcoming; it's out. So, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit thin to be honest at the minute. But we only really know what's happening this year, other than Yoshi and Metroid. And Yoshi probably isn't single player either. That's probably multiplayer focused as well.
Yep. I mean, that, at least from what we've seen, right? It made it look like it could be very well multiplayer focused. Just a couple more here. Zentino says, now that Nintendo is going full steam ahead with online services, do you guys think that they should venture on service bundles? For example, buy 1 year of Netflix or Hulu service to get 1 free year of Nintendo online service. If Netflix gets a Switch app of it, obviously. And then Michael Burgett asks us this: do you think Nintendo will announce a Netflix app before the online service goes live, or is that still a ways away? Thoughts?
Personally, I don't care for Netflix on it. I know a lot of people do, and that's fine. And in regards to bundles, now I think Nintendo's going to do Nintendo, and that's it really. I don't think Netflix is going to come soon. And if it does,
if ever,
and if ever, it's not going to be as good as your other apps on other systems. Just saying.
Yeah,
I don't know. I know a lot of people who like prefer the Wii Netflix app. Like I know a lot of people who like for some reason had a Wii still, and they're like, "Well, like, do you play games on it?" Nah, we just use it for Netflix.
Yeah, the difference is I see the Netflix for the Switch being more of a portable thing, which obviously could be wrong because obviously it's home as well. As a home streaming service, it'd be fine. As a portable, nah, it's not going to do it because I mean, downloading the movies and stuff onto it is just, I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be as good as other things. I think you'll end up using your phone or a tablet or something more.
And that's the argument that most people come up with, right? It's
Yeah.
like, why do I need it on my Switch? But if I don't have my phone or if, you know, I think it's just one of those things where it's like, it's a mobile device. Why not?
Yeah,
right. That's what a lot of people think. Why not?
Do I think he should be there? Yes. Yeah, I do. I do honestly 100% think he should be there.
Will I use it? Nah.
Well, this is the thing you see. You've only got to go back a couple of years to the Wii U. Here in England, we had nothing really. You know, we didn't even have the TV thing that was on the menu. That never worked for us. We never saw it working.
Hey, here's a hint. It never really worked for us either.
So
I mean, it didn't really do anything.
But at least it did function. It did something when you pushed the button. I don't think that ever happened in UK.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like Miiverse on a 3DS now.
Yeah,
Right.
You press it and it errors out. That's it.
Yeah, I understand the concept of the bundling. You know, I actually have my Hulu free through Sprint because I have unlimited through Sprint. But I don't know. I think I don't think that there'd be any deals through Netflix or Hulu and Nintendo and sharing that, just because. I don't see that happening.
Right.
And similar to what Gary said, I understand people wanted on Netflix and Switch, but if it ever happens, I'm never going to use it. You know, I never downloaded the Hulu client because I have my iPad. I have 15 other devices that I can use. The Switch is not my go-to device for that.
Sure. And I mean, I totally agree. I think for the bundle, the Switch would have to have a much, much larger proven install base. That's why they do that through Sprint, because there is an install base that makes that bundle worth, right? So it's not there for the Switch yet, and it may never be. But I think, again, it's just a case of, well, why not? Why not put it on there? And last we heard, Netflix says it's up to Nintendo, and Nintendo says it's up to Netflix. So it sounds like they don't really know what they're doing. So who knows?
Or
we may see it.
They don't want to admit it publicly.
Yeah, right. They just want to throw each other under the bus. Well, guys, that is our show for tonight. We want to thank you for hanging with us, listeners, and being here through all of this. And what we want to do is close out our show by saying some thanks to some people. We want to say huge thanks to our Patreon producers, David White, Dave Ernsberger, and Timothy Off. We thank you guys for sacrificing and going big for us. But we also thank all of our patrons for being over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads and supporting us. And if you'd like to join us, even over on our Discord server, for as little as $1 a month, you can become a patron and you'll get access to chat with us and with other people in our community. You can follow us on Twitter at Nintendo Dads, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. In fact, we're on all social media as Nintendo Dads. You can check out our YouTube videos at youtube.com/C/Nintendo Dads, or call in and leave a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS or 929-256-3237. If you want to buy some sweet Nintendo Dads merchandise, you can go over to tiny.cc/Nintendo Dads store, all lowercase, and find some things there like mugs, shirts, even a king-size bed cover with our faces on it, because we love you. And don't forget, we're running that t-shirt contest for you to design our next t-shirt. You can do that and post those in the Patreon Discord as well, and you'll win some sweet swag for that. We want to say a big thanks to OC Remix for the music throughout the show, and Carter Johnson and Adam Leonard for all their work on our artwork. You can download this podcast every week from iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play, and check us out over at vgtribune.com and Nintendo Village. For Gary, for Jesse, for Justin, and Zach, this is Marty. Thanks for listening this week, guys. Bye-bye.
Pow, 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 pow.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Wobble Puffet? Wobble Buffet?
I love it.
Perfect.